Hello friends, welcome to my channel, the study class 11. So today I am going to read of Snapshot chapter 5 Mother's Day by J.B. Priestley. So let's start. The following play is a humorous portrayal of the status of the mother in a family. Let's read on to see how Miss Pearson's family reacts when she tries to stand up for her own rights. Characters: Miss Annie Pearson, George Pearson, Doris Pearson, Cyril Pearson, Miss Fitzgerald. The action takes place in the living room of the Pearsons' house in a London suburb. Time: the present. Scene: the living room of the Pearson family. Afternoon. It is a comfortably furnished, must live in a room in a small suburban semi-detached villa. If necessary, only one door need to be used, but it is better with two, one up left leading to the front door and the stairs, and the other in the right wall leading to the kitchen and the back door. There can be muslin covered window in the left wall and possibly one in the right wall too. The fireplace is assured to be the fourth wall. There is a settee up right, an armchair down left and one down right. A table with two chairs on either side of it stands at the center. When the curtain rises, it is an afternoon in early autumn, and stage can be well lit. Miss Pearson at right and Miss Fitzgerald at left at sitting opposite each other at the small table on which are two cups and saucer and the cards with which Miss Fitzgerald had been telling Miss Pearson's fortune. Miss Pearson is a pleasant but worried-looking woman in her 40s. Miss Fitzgerald is older, heavier, and a strong and sinister personality. She is smoking. It is very important that these two should have sharply contrasting voice. Miss Pearson speaking in a light, flirt sort of tone with a touch of suburban cocky perhaps, and Miss Fitzgerald with a deep voice, rather Irish perhaps. Miss Fitzgerald collecting up the cards, and that's all I can tell you, Miss Pearson. Could it be a good fortune? Could be a bad one. All depends on yourself now. Make up your mind, and there it is. Miss Pearson. Yes, thank you, Miss Fitzgerald. I am much obliged, I'm sure. It's wonderful having a real fortune teller living next door. Did you learn that out east too? Miss Fitzgerald. I did. 12 years I had of it, with my old man rising to be lieutenant quartermaster. He learned a lot, and I learned a lot more. But will you make up your mind now, Miss Pearson dear? Put your foot down once for all. Be the mistress of your own house and the boss of your own family. Miss Pearson, smiling apologetically. That's easier said than done. Besides, I am not so fond of them, even if they are so thoughtless and selfish. They don't mean to be. Miss Fitzgerald cutting in. Maybe not, but it would be better for them if they learned to treat you properly, Miss Pearson. Yes, I supposed it would, in a way. Miss Fitzgerald. No doubt about it all. Who is the better for being spoiled, grown man, lad, or girl? Nobody. You think it's good when you run after them all the time, take their orders as you were the servant in their house, stay at home every night while they go out enjoying themselves. Never in all your life is the ruin of them as well as you. Husbands, sons, daughters should be taking notice of wives and mothers, not giving them orders and treating like dirt. And don't tell me you don't know what I mean, for I know more they have you told me. Miss Pearson, dubiously. I keep dropping a hint, Miss Fitzgerald. Hint? It's more than hints your family needs, Miss Pearson. Miss Pearson, dubiously. I suppose it is, but I do hate any unpleasantness and it's hard to know where to start. I keep making up my mind to have it out with them, but somehow I don't know how to begin. She glances at her watch or at a clock. Oh, good gracious, look at the time. Nothing ready, and they will be home any minute and probably all in a hurry to go out again. As she is about to rise, Miss Fitzgerald reaches out across the table and pulls her down. Miss Fitzgerald, wait, or look after themselves for once. This is where your foot goes down. Start now. She lights a cigarette from the one she has just finished. Miss Pearson, embarrassed. Miss Fitzgerald, I know you mean well, in fact. I agree with you, but I just can't, and it's no use you trying to make me. If I promise you I would really have it out with them, I know I wouldn't be able to keep my promise. Miss Fitzgerald, then let me do it, Miss Pearson, flustered. Oh no, thank you very much, Miss Fitzgerald, but that wouldn't do at all. It couldn't possibly be somebody else. They would resent it once and wouldn't listen, and really, I couldn't blame themselves. I know I ought to do it. But you see how it is. She looks apologetically across the table, smiling rather miserably. Miss Pearson, Fitzgerald, coolly. You haven't got the idea, Miss Pearson, bewildered. Oh, I am sorry. I thought you asked me to let you do it. Miss Fitzgerald, I did, but not as me, as you. Miss Pearson, but I don't understand. You couldn't be me, Miss Fitzgerald, coolly. We change places, or really bodies. You look like me, I look like you. Miss Pearson, but that's impossible, Miss Fitzgerald. How do you know? Ever tried it, Miss Pearson? No, of course not, Miss Fitzgerald coolly. I have, not for some time, but it still ought to work. Won't last long, but look long enough for what we want to do. Learnt it out east, of course, where they are up to all these tricks. She holds her hand out across the table, keeping the cigarettes in her mouth. Give me your hands, dear. Miss Pearson dubiously. Well, I don't know, is it right? Miss Fitzgerald. It's your only chance. Give me your hands and keep quiet a minute. Just don't think about anything. Taking her hands, now look at me. They stare at each other, muttering Ashastradam, Ashastatam, Ashastra Lamdambona. This little scene should be acted very carefully. We were to assume that the personalities change bodies. After the spell has been spoken, both women, still grasping hands, go lax as if the life were out of them. They both came to life, but with the personality of the others. Each must try to adopt the voice and mimicries of the others. So now Miss Pearson is bold and dominating, and Miss Fitzgerald is nervous and fluttering. Miss Pearson, now with Miss Fitzgerald personality. See what I mean, dear? She notices the cigarette. Here, you don't want that. She snatches it and puts it in her own mouth, puffing contentedly. Miss Fitzgerald, now with Miss Pearson's personality, looks down at herself and sees that her body has changed and gives a scream of fright. Miss Fitzgerald, with Miss Pearson's personality. Oh, it's happened. Miss Pearson, complacently. Of course it happened. Very neat. Didn't you know? I had it in me, Miss Fitzgerald, alarm. But whatever shall I do, Miss Fitzgerald? George and the children can't see me like this. Miss Pearson grimly. They aren't going to. That's the point. They will have me to deal with, only they won't know it. Miss Fitzgerald, still alarm. But if we can't change back, it would be terrible. Miss Pearson. Here, steady, Miss Pearson. If you had to live my life, it wouldn't be so bad. You have more fun as me than you had as you, Miss Fitzgerald. Yes, but I don't want to be anybody else. Miss Pearson. Now stop worrying. It is easier changing bed. I can do it anytime we want. Miss Fitzgerald. Well, do it now. Miss Pearson, not likely. I have got to deal with your family first. That's the idea, isn't it? Don't you know how to begin with them? You said, well, I will show you. Miss Fitzgerald, what I am going to do, Miss Pearson, go into my house for a bit. There's nobody there. Then pop back and see how we are doing. You ought to enjoy it. Better get off now before one of them comes. Miss Fitzgerald, nervously rising. Yes, I suppose that's best. You are sure it will be all right, Miss Pearson, chuckling. It will be wonderful. Now, off you go, dear. Miss Fitzgerald crosses and hurries out through the door right, left to herself. Miss Pearson smokes away, lighting another cigarette, and begins laying out the cards for patients at the table. After a few moments, Doris Pearson comes bursting in left. She is a pretty girl in her early 20s who would be pleasant enough if she had not been spoiled. Doris, before she had taken anything in, Mom, you will have to iron my yellow silk. I must wear it tonight. She now sees what is happening and is astounded. What are you doing? She moves down left center. Miss Pearson now uses her ordinary voice, but her manners is not fluttering and apologetic but cool and incisive. Miss Pearson, not even looking up. What do you think I am doing? Whitewashing the ceiling. Doris, still astounded. But you are smoking. Miss Pearson, that's right, dear. No law against it, is there? Doris, but I thought you didn't smoke. Miss Pearson, then you thought wrong. Doris, Miss Doris, are we having tea in the kitchen? Miss Pearson, have it where you like, dear. Doris, angrily, do you mean it isn't ready? Miss Pearson, yours isn't. I have all I want. Might go out later and get a surprise meal at the Slenderon. Doris, hardly believing her ears, who might? Miss Pearson, I might. What do you think? Doris, staring at her mom, what's the matter with you? Miss Pearson, don't be silly. Doris, indignantly, it's not me that being silly. And I must say it's a bit much when I have been working hard all day and you can't even bother to get my tea ready. Did you hear what I said about my yellow silk? Miss Pearson, no. Don't you like it now? I never did. Doris, indignantly, of course I like it and I am going to wear it tonight, so I want it ironed. Miss Pearson, want it ironed? What do you think it's going to do? Iron itself? Doris, no, you are going to iron it for me. You always do. Miss Pearson, well, this time I don't. And don't talk rubbish to me about working hard. I have good idea how much to do. You do, Doris Pearson. I put it that twice the hours you do and get no wages nor thanks for it. Where are you going to wear your yellow silk? Where are you going? Doris, sulkily, out with Charlie Spence. Miss Pearson, why? Doris, wildly, why? What's the matter with you? Why shouldn't I go out with the Charlie Spence if you ask me and I want to? Any objection? Go on, you might as well tell me. Miss Pearson severely, can't you find anybody better? I wouldn't be even seen dead with Charlie Spence, buck teeth and half-witted. Doris, he isn't. Miss Pearson, when I was your age, I have found somebody better than Charlie Spence, or given myself up as a bad job. Doris, nearly in tears, oh, shut up. Doris runs out left. Miss Pearson chuckles and begins putting the cards together. After a moment, Cyril Pearson enters left. He is the masculine counterpart of Terry's. Cyril, briskly, hello, Mom. Tea ready? Miss Pearson, no. Cyril, moving to the table, annoyed. Why not? Miss Pearson, coolly, I couldn't bother. Cyril, feeling of color or something? Miss Pearson, never felt better in my life. Cyril, aggressively, what's the idea then? Miss Pearson, just a change. Cyril, briskly, well, snap out it, Ma, and get cracking. Haven't too much tune. Cyril is about to go when Miss Pearson's voice checks him. Miss Pearson, I have plenty of time. Cyril, yes, but I haven't got a busy night tonight. Moving left to the door. Did you put my things out? Miss Pearson coolly. Can't remember, but I doubt it. Cyril, moving to the table, protesting. Now, look. When I asked you this morning, you promised. You said you have to look through first in case there was any mending. Miss Pearson, yes, well, now I have decided I don't like any mending. Cyril, that's a nice way to talk. What would happen if we all talk like that? Miss Pearson, you do all talk like that. If there's something at home you don't want to do, you don't do it. If it's not something at your work, you get the union to bar it. Now, all that's happened is that I have joined the movement. Cyril staggered. I don't get this, Mom. What's going on? Miss Pearson. Aokic and sinister changes. Doris enters left. She is in the progress of dressing and is now wearing a wrap. She looks pale and red-eyed. Miss Pearson, you look terrible. I wouldn't wear that face even for Charlie Spence. Doris, moving above the table angrily. Oh, shut up about Charlie Spence. And anyhow, I am not ready yet. Just dressing, and if I do look terrible, it's your fault. Why, you made me cry. Cyril, curious. Why? What did she do? Doris, never you mind. Miss Pearson, rising and preparing to move to the kitchen. Have we any shot left? I can't remember. Cyril, bottle or two, I think, but you don't want shot now. Miss Pearson, moving left slowly. I do. Cyril, what for? Miss Pearson, turning at the door. To drink, you clot. Miss Pearson exits right. Instantly, Cyril and Doris are in a huddle close together at left center, rapidly whispering. Doris, has she been like that with you too? Cyril, yes, no tea ready, couldn't care less. Doris, well, I am glad it's both of us. I thought I would done something wrong. Cyril, so did I? But it's her, of course. Doris, she was smoking and playing cards when I came in. I couldn't believe my eyes. Cyril, I asked her if she was feeling off color and she said she wasn't. Doris, well, she's suddenly all different and that's what made me cry. It wasn't what she said, but the way she said it and the way she looked. Cyril, haven't noticed that she looked just the same to me. Doris, she doesn't to me. Do you think she could have hit her head or something, And God, what is it, Cyril staggered. Do you mean she is barmy? Doris, no, fathead. Conclusion. She might have. Cyril, sounds far-fetched. Doris, well, she is far-fetched if you ask me. She suddenly begins to giggle. Cyril, now then what is it? Doris, if she is going to be like this when Dad comes home, she giggles again. Cyril, beginning to guffaw, I am staying in for the two front dresses circles for the first house. Miss Pearson enters right, carrying a bottle of shot and a half-filled glass. Cyril and Doris try to stop them, guffawing and giggling, but they are not quick enough. Miss Pearson regards them with contempt. Miss Pearson coldly, you two are always talking about being grown up. Why don't you both try for once to be your age? She moves to the settee and sits. Cyril, can't we laugh now? Miss Pearson, yes, if it's funny. Go on, tell me. Make me laugh. I could do with it. Doris, you never understand our jokes, Mom. So that's all for part 1. In the next week, I'm going to read part 2. So if you like, then please subscribe, like, share to this video. Thank you.